That is turkey for, I'll take the over 5.5 rushing attempts for Caleb Williams. I think every turkey might be taking that. I don't know what the donkeys are taking. So what are the turkeys taking today? What are the donkeys taking today on Thanksgiving? Happy Thanksgiving to all my snippers out there around the U.S., Canada, all around the world, even to that guy in Brazil who's still commenting on every single video to come to Brazil. Sir, I'm almost scared to know what's going to happen when I get there. And besides, today is not a day for Brazil. Brazil has many days. You got your Carnival festival. But today is a day for NFL Sniffs and then to eat so much turkey and then a bunch of dessert and then claim it was the tryptophan in the turkey that made you tired, not eating like an absolute fat slob. I do want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys are all enjoying it. I have many Thanksgiving stories I can share. I have a plethora of Thanksgiving stories that I can share. I guess the one that I'll go with, this is one I've told on the comedy pod before. You know, Thanksgiving is something that you usually have the same core of people at your Thanksgiving dinner table. It's usually the same core, and then maybe you bring in some free agents like a hockey team. You got the core four in Toronto who just signed this week or this year. Ekman Larson. Okay, who else is around the team? But usually it's that same group of people. So on my Thanksgiving a couple years ago, there was a first-timer, an invitee, one of those things where, you know, she's not able to go, so he's going to come this time because we invited him. He didn't have anywhere to go, couldn't fly back, blah, blah. That's fine. That's fine. But you got to know Thanksgiving on the road rule. It's not the same as playing at home, having Thanksgiving at home. So if you're in somebody else's home for Thanksgiving, it's got to be like you're not even there. You don't be the center of attention at somebody else's Thanksgiving. You don't even want to draw any notice to yourself. So I guess I'll partially blame my mom. My mom did this thing where she wanted everybody to go around the table and say what they were thankful for. Also, she could really just get to what she wanted. There was some point that she wanted to bring up. So in order to get there, she threw a fake, like, everybody say what you're thankful for. Okay, that's cool. Oh, I know that's great. You're thankful for that. All right, let me tell you, I'm thankful for, and then she, go on this whole whirlwind. So we're going around getting our quick, I gave I'm thankful for this great meal we're about to have. Just a quick, let's get to the next guy so she can just say her thing, and then we're on to the meal. So this guest goes on a long thank you. I'm thankful for the health earlier in the year. I had a bad shoulder. Now I'm good. This guy's going on and on. And this is a true story. If you don't believe me, when we're all dead, get like the Wonder Woman truth whip. I have the Academy Awards music on my phone at all times in case somebody is talking too long. In an environment, you want somebody to stop talking. Just like that environment. So this guy's going on, and I'm looking down. I'm sneaking my phone out like this. And I play the Academy Awards music. And then he's like, is that your phone? I go, no, yeah, that is my phone, but it's not ringing. And that cued him to stop talking. And then I played the Academy Awards send-off music during a Thanksgiving thank you speech so that we can go onward and get closer to that turkey, which we were going to claim made us tired. Not the cannoli cream that was in the cake that we had immediately after. So there's a little Thanksgiving story for you. There's a little entertainment for you that you probably needed throughout the day, because Lord knows that 4 o'clock game, you'd probably rather be watching this than whatever's happening on that field. But I guess while we're talking about that game, maybe I can tell you a bet that I like in there, because there is one thing that stands out. You know me, I don't try fishing for bets in awful games. In a bad hockey game, when the Blue Jackets are playing the Ducks, yeah, you never know. It could have the opposite effect. There could be points going all over the place. But with the New York Giants and the third-string quarterback and Dallas with their backup, this is a carny game. So in this game, we have Drew Lock starting. Here's what I know about him. I've seen him in the past, not very good, but he plays like a guy who knows he's going to get one shot to have a highlight that his ex will see on social media. So what does he do? I've seen this guy sling multiple attempts deep, both in Denver and Seattle. many of which fall incomplete, many of which get interception, but every once in a while, one is complete, and if one of those is going to be completed in this game, I think it's going to be to M.Nabers. I think that 6.5 catches sounds pretty wild. We don't even know that they have any pre-established connection. Drew Lock is weird. Like in Seattle, he wouldn't lock in on Lockett or Metcalf. He would just stare down Noah Fant. He falls in love with particular guys on each team. But what I am going to do is take that over 20.5 longest reception for M.Nabers, simply because I've seen Drew Lock just sling it. Even if a guy is covered, he'll just take a shot and see what happens. And if that's the case, all right, you need something in that game. That's what I'm going to go with. Over 20.5 longest reception for M.Nabers. Then in this earlier game, we got the Lions hosting the Bears. Division game. Usually, I'll tell you, division game, 9.5 points. It's too much. We've seen the Steelers play the Ravens so many times. You get these division matchups, Cleveland and the Steelers, all one. So many are one score, and we see essentially a 2-score spread. I'm not personally going to bet the spread, but if I had to do one of those picks where, you pick a spread on every single game, I would obviously lean 9.5, especially the way the Bears are playing. They seem like they're in that kind of, all right, we're not making the playoffs, but we're playing pretty well, so we're just going to keep spoiling as many teams as we can, especially a division team. So I would lean plus 9.5. You want to know what you're going to see twice, maybe even 3 times on this video today? Something that I would think you haven't seen on other videos, but there are videos about every corner of every sports bet probably. I don't know because I don't watch any of them, but all I know is because I make these videos, it thinks I want to watch these videos, and the amount of ridiculous thumbnails that I see, like off to the side, like a guy pointing, the one SGP you need on Thanksgiving morning, and the guy looks like he just found out World War II broke out.
Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty.
So, what I like in this game and the next game, I'm going with these head-to-head DraftKings bets. You've seen me place a couple of these before, and I'm seeing the rushing yards for David Montgomery versus DeAndre Swift. I'm going to go with David Montgomery with a small spread because DeAndre Swift, 2 straight weeks, he hasn't seen that workhorse utilization that he saw the previous weeks. They fired their offensive coordinator, and then the new scheme in week 1 gave Roschon Johnson a ton of rushing attempts. Now, that wasn't the case last week, but that's because they fell behind early last week, which meant they have to throw a lot. And if they're throwing a lot once again, whether it's split work with Roschon Johnson as they're out of the playoff race, or they fall behind, as the spread suggests, by multiple scores and are in more passing situations, it provides a couple different opportunities for DeAndre Swift to stay under. But rather than take the under on his rushing yards, I believe that David Montgomery will go over DeAndre Swift's rushing yards, which means DeAndre Swift would have to go over his own rushing yards to beat David Montgomery, which is why I'm taking that bet instead of the under on DeAndre Swift rushing yards. So give me the head-to-head matchup, David Montgomery by the spread over DeAndre Swift. And then, because the spread suggests they'll be down by multiple scores, it means that the Bears are going to have to pass a little bit more than they'd like to. They'd find themselves in more passing situations. If they find themselves in more passing situations and they have a bad offensive line, what does that mean? Some rushing attempts for Caleb Williams. I'm going to go with the over 5.5 rushing attempts for Caleb Williams against the Detroit Lions. Now let's go to that late game, the game that has the most significance, the game that probably will be the most enjoyable because there's actually stuff on the line for both teams, and that's the Miami Dolphins, who are 3.5-point underdogs at the Green Bay Packers. And if you watch the playoff picks that I gave before Miami played the Chiefs on a cold winter night, I said I don't really trust a Hawaiian in the snow or in the cold. Not the best spot to pick a Hawaiian. And we're getting a Hawaiian in the cold, in Green Bay, in Lambeau. But to me, the spread in a game that it feels like it's going to end 3 points, I want to go with the plus 3.5 Dolphins. I unfortunately am going to trust a Hawaiian on a cold night. But that just seems right to me. In a game that has a lot on the line for both teams, I almost don't need to see the team names. I will take that team at plus 3.5. The same way I took the Cleveland Browns plus 3.5, the same way I took the Steelers plus 3.5 against the Ravens. That's just kind of how I like to operate. I like getting the underdog if it's more than a field goal in a close game. They're showing me the plus 3.5. I'll take the plus 3.5 for the Hawaiian on a cold Green Bay night. And then I have another head-to-head, although I thought, you know what? I don't trust this Hawaiian on a cold winter night. I want to go with the Jordan Love head-to-head passing yards, which is in the same neighborhood. It's like 2 or 3 yards difference. But when I was looking at that bet, I saw, okay, look at the combined over-under. I don't foresee Tua. I mean, he hasn't been throwing it deep ever since he came back. Whether it's the defenses taking the deep balls away, which is resulting in all these Jonnu Smith and D.Achane completions and receptions, whatever it may be, we're not seeing what we saw out of Tua early last year. And the likelihood that it's going to start on a cold, frigid night in Green Bay, to me, it's not too high. So between that and then Josh Jacobs potentially getting a bigger workload, because they do have good cornerbacks over there in Miami, so the best way to attack them is not outside, it's not deep, it's over the middle of the field and with the running game. So I imagine we're going to see a lot of Jacobs, we're going to see a lot of short stuff from Miami, maybe a relatively lower scoring game compared to what these teams can put out there on the field. I'm doing the under on combined passing yards for Jordan Love and Tua Vailoa. And because I don't think they're going to be slinging it all over the place, it's going to be a lot of high percentage throws. Maybe try to get certain guys in space where they can make something happen. And who's the king of that? That's going to be D.Achane. I'm going to go over on his receiving yards. Had they been in closer games these last couple of weeks, I think he would have destroyed this total. He immediately got to 25, and then they didn't use him much later in the game because it ended up being somewhat of a blowout in the previous week. But if they're going in somewhat of a back and forth, and this game is within 3, they're going to give him multiple opportunities to catch that ball right near the line of scrimmage and allow him to do what he does after the catch. So I'm going to go over on receiving yards for D.Achane. And then that Black Friday, another garbage game. I just keep thinking about when the awful Raiders, I think with Aiden O'Connell starting, beat the Chiefs, who ended up winning the Super Bowl not too many weeks later, late in the season last year. Does this one have rat potential? I don't know. We just saw Bryce Young almost beat these Chiefs. So I don't know what the hell's going on in terms of the Chiefs not covering big spreads. But one thing that I do like in this game is the over 3.5 catches for D.Hopkins. That's really the only thing that stood out to me. 3.5 catches, D.Hopkins. He's not having weeks like that one massive one, but he is remaining involved when Patrick Mahomes needs a first down. He needs a completion to a wide receiver. And I'm liking that over 3.5 receptions for D.Hopkins. And that's what I got for you on this happy Thanksgiving. Good luck to you. Better luck to me. Yeah, even on the holidays. Make sure you're subscribed here to the YouTube channel. Every click is always appreciated. Like, comment, subscribe. All 3 of those are appreciated the same way I appreciate when you click those notifications. This is how it goes. You can get a video coming out on Thanksgiving afternoon, 3 in the morning, 3 at night, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's, whenever. So the only way you'll know is if you click those notifications. And obviously what would be appreciated the most is if you guys support this content, you enjoy the shows that I do here, sign up and join the Patreon. It's patreon.com/AndyFrancis. You help fund everything. You're the lone sponsor of this show, like the Packers are playing tonight with their minority owners. You can be a minority owner of this show over on the Patreon. Hopefully I will see you there. If not, I will see you for the next round of NFL, NHL Sniffs. I will see you then.